One gift of the marginal way is that it's not the marginal way. There are many ways, many paths. Now, I know Jesus said he is the way, but we know from experience that following Jesus is a bit of a wild goose chase, because God's Spirit is the wild goose that takes us places we don't choose to go on our own. So we find a diversity of ways and a diversity of things along the way. And that's what we'll look at today. And if you go on this journey with us, there's a gift at the end, a gift you can create yourself, celebrating diversity, maybe to give to someone else. If you need the gift, you keep it for yourself. It's all good. And it's all to be found along a way, a marginal way.
There's times I just don't understand why we've gotta be so cruel to our land. In the young people's eyes I can see there's still a little hope for you and for me. She will survive. Yes, she will. So proud and strong, warm mother.
Welcome back. Here we are in this wonderful, beautiful sanctuary, setting aside some time, which also is a holy time like a sanctuary. And so I hope that you've had some time this week and will have some time later today or this week with your tree. And here I am with my tree in this bubble of safety that we've created. And here's what I want you to do today. Nothing personal, my tree, but I want to look around and see all these other trees, all this other beauty, these differences. Now, there are a lot of other pine trees here. In fact, most of these trees look like they're the same species as you, my tree, but you know what? They're all different. And in that one, I see a nest. And what else do I see? Over here, I see one that's fallen and broken. Here, I see a tree that is different. It's not a pine tree. There is a wonderful diversity. There are probably some animals and creatures around. Just a few minutes ago, I heard a winter wren singing. And there was a broad-winged hawk singing in a tree right near me, almost drowning out what I had to say. There's a wonderful, glorious diversity. Do you know that word? Glorious? We talk of God as being full of glory, being wonderful, being more than we can imagine. Isn't creation that way too? When you look around, isn't the diversity, the differences, the many, many different ways of being, isn't that beautiful? Isn't it glorious? That's what I want you to do this week. Visit with your tree and look around and see all the various things that are around you, all the beauty that surrounds you, because it's all a gift from the Creator, our God. And so let us spend some time together finishing up with our Repeat After Me poem.
Thank you, God, for this good creation. You made swimmers and flyers, and humans of every nation. Help us care for Earth, our mother, just like you taught us to love each other. Amen. The real problem that we need to face in our lives and in our world is not the struggle of what we do when we fall in love with another. The real problem that overwhelmingly confronts most of us in the world most of the time is that we are not falling in love with the heart of one another and the heart of other nations and species. We are blind to their secret beauty. As Thomas Merton wrote, when people are in love, they are more than their everyday selves, more alive, more understanding, more enduring. They are made over into new beings. Our true center is at the heart of one another. I invite you to make a fist with your hands and imagine in those clenched fists is all that you are holding tightly. Fear, anxiety, worry, grief, loneliness, helplessness. It may be a specific circumstance that has you tied in knots at the moment. Now I invite you to slowly open your fist and imagine a letting go into the loving embrace of the Spirit who transforms all things. As we let go and open up, we see that now our hands and hearts are more ready to hold with love the concerns of others and the pain of the world.
Breathe in the pain, breathe on out the love. Let my heart be a place where this world is changed forever. Breathe in the pain, breathe on out the love. Let my heart be a place where this world is changed forever.
All people on the earth had one language and the same words. When they traveled east, they found a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them hard." They used bricks for stones and asphalt for mortar. They said, "Come, let's build for ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the sky. And let's make a name for ourselves so that we won't be dispersed over all the earth." Then Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower that the humans built. And Yahweh said, "There is now one people, and they all have one language. This is what they have begun to do, and now all that they plan to do will be possible for them. Come, let's go down and mix up their language there, so they won't understand each other's language." Then Yahweh dispersed them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. Therefore it is named Babel, because there Yahweh mixed up the language of all the earth, and from there Yahweh dispersed them over all the earth.
Well, last night at midnight, the 40th World Series of Birding ended, and I was not there. It's a great tragedy. The tragedy is I was not there. That's really what it's all about. The 30th World Series of Birding was an event that our team thought we won. At midnight, we went to bed thinking we had won. Found out the next day that we had not. But the next year we did. So there's redemption story there. But this is not about me. This is about the birds. This is definitely for the birds, as much of my preaching can be. When I was thinking about the World Series of Birding, I realized that what really, really, really matters in that competition, which is a 24-hour competition in teams of at least 3, where you travel around the state of New Jersey. The bird doesn't have to be in New Jersey, but you have to be. Okay, so if you're in Pennsylvania looking across the Delaware and you see a bird in New Jersey, you can't count it till you get halfway across the bridge. I mean, they're very particular about these rules, right? Not that there are police out in the field. It's self-policing, but these are the rules. And what you're trying to do is to tally the greatest number of species that you can in a 24-hour period. Now, it's not a small number. The record is something like 240, I think. I was on a team one time that beat 200. We did 217 birds in a 24-hour period. The winning scores aren't quite that high anymore, which is part of the message. You see, it's about diversity, because it doesn't matter how rare the bird is. A second winter wren doesn't mean anything to the team. And vice versa. The first pigeon is very exciting because it counts. The 500th pigeon is just like every 500th pigeon you've seen. You don't care about it, right? But it's about tallying the number of different species. It's a celebration of diversity. It matters that there are many different species. If there weren't, it would be a very short list, right? It'd be a very silly competition if there were only like 10 species of birds. Everyone would get 10 and be done. Then it'd have to be a speed competition or something, right? So here it is that we are looking at this diversity of species. And I mentioned the number of the winning number keeps going down. Now, some of it is about effort and skill, but a lot of that effort and skill has gotten better and better, but the number still keeps coming down. And we know that that's really bad news, because extinction is happening all around us. We don't like to think about it, but we know that it's true, that there's a decline in nature. In fact, scientists will tell us there's a mass extinction happening. Not since the extinction of the dinosaurs have we seen what's happening now. And let me put some numbers out there for you. The problem is we don't really know. But scientists have been able to identify somewhere between 1.4 and 1.8 million different species on Earth. Remarkable number, isn't it? That many species. And they know that there are species that they have not identified. And so the estimates range from 2 million, a conservative estimate. We've thinking maybe we've identified almost all the species, up to some who will say that there might be 100 million species of creatures living on this earth, between plants and animals and everything else. The number might be remarkably higher. And the experts are calculating that we are losing to extinction somewhere between 1/100th of a percent of the species, up to maybe as high as 0.1% of the species. Doesn't sound like that many, right? I mean, those are really minuscule numbers in terms of percentage. But think about what that means in terms of number of species. On the low estimate, that would mean that we are losing 200 to 2,000 species every year. That's if there were 2 million species in the world. If, unfortunately, that number is 100 million, then that means that every year, something on the order of 10,000 up to 100,000 species are disappearing. Species we haven't even identified yet, who are gone before we get to identify them and know them. Now, you might say again, it's less than 1%. It's 0.1%, maybe even 1/10 of that, so maybe it's not that bad. But these same experts will tell us that this is 1,000 to 10,000 times, 1,000 times the rate of what they call the natural extinction rate or the background extinction rate, what's expected naturally. And we see that in nature. Some species just evolve into other species and they become extinct. And that's a natural order of things. But we are seeing species disappear at a rate 1,000 to up to 10,000 times that. That's remarkable. And that's dangerous. And perhaps, perhaps biodiversity doesn't matter. Maybe this is the way it's going, right? But I know that in your gut, you know that's not true. You just heard those numbers, and I can trust that your reaction to that was sorrow and sadness and grief. And I think it should be. We should be very worried, not least of which because it is clear that human intervention is the biggest reason for this precipitous decline in biodiversity. Our ancient ancestors understood, believed that God cared about diversity. They probably just assumed it in nature, probably where they got the ideas. But we know that they felt that about humans as well. And that's why we have the story that we have today. The story of the Tower of Babel. People got together. Oh, that they would do that today, right? It is funny hearing this story. Wouldn't it be a good thing if we could all agree to come to one place and build one big, windmill? Some hydroelectric, maybe some solar power. Maybe we could get together and say, let's do the right thing for the planet. We know how hard it is to get people to agree on one thing. So it's kind of funny reading this story and trying to take a positive lesson out of it. Why would God do that, right? The people were working together, doing one thing, speaking one language. This, to us, sounds like it's a pretty good thing, right? But God says, I didn't create you that way. I created you to be diverse, to speak different languages, to have different ways of doing and being, to do different things together, but different things, right? Diversity matters. That's the message in the story of the Tower of Babel. And in our hearts, we know that's true because we're not all the same. We're not all made the same. We don't all look the same. We don't all speak the same way. People move up here and have to figure out what language you all are speaking, those of us from away, right? We're different. We speak the same language, but we're different. We all do things differently, see things differently, bring our gifts to the party. It's a grand potluck, right? That's the celebration of humanity that God wants from us. I hear this as God saying, you should have a variety. You should be bringing different gifts to the table. I think that's what is being said in the story. And if you don't see it in the scripture, you certainly see it in creation itself, all around you. I know that it's said, and it's true, that nature abhors a vacuum. You leave something alone, it'll get filled, right? If you don't do anything about it, something else will happen. If you don't do anything to your lawn, what's going to happen? Stuff's going to grow. Is it going to be the stuff that you planted? Maybe, but probably not, right? Other stuff is going to come in. How's your lawn looking these days? Is there a lawn? Is it still mud season? Stuff's growing, right? I've seen some green. It's happening. But it's a battle. Isn't it a battle to make your lawn do what you want it to do? And I think the reason for that is, I know the reason for that is, it's a monoculture. A golf course particularly, right? Anybody have a golf course for a lawn? Anybody ever work on a golf course? Anybody ever try to make the lawn look like that? It is a tremendous amount of work for a very simple reason. Nature might abhor a vacuum, but it really, really abhors monoculture. Nature works against that. Nature always works in harmony. If you want to grow corn, you'd be wise to plant the other two sisters, right? Plant some beans to put the nitrogen back in, and the corn will grow up so that the beans can grow up it, and the flowers, the big leaves of the squash that you plant will help to hold moisture in the mound. It works. The indigenous peoples of this land understood that, and that's why they planted the three sisters together. Lawns understand that too. If you take out the diversity and want to plant Kentucky bluegrass, you ever notice Kentucky is not exactly Maine? There's a reason why it doesn't want to grow here. And you have to go out and you have to add the fertilizer that you've already taken out by taking the other plants out. You have to apply herbicides to take out the plants that want to grow there, that you don't want to grow there. You have to apply pesticides to get rid of the bugs that want to show up and find the other plants that are flowering. You see what I mean? It works. I mean, is there anything really wrong with the dandelion other than it won't grow where you want it to? It grows where it wants. That's really the definition of a weed, you know. Weeds are just flowers that didn't learn how to grow in a straight line where we wanted them to. Even in concrete, they don't care. Dandelions just don't care. Did you know that dandelions were introduced to North America? They were brought here by immigrants for eating, for brewing. You ever had dandelion wine? I haven't, but I do make dandelion beer, by the way. Looking forward to the crop. It's looking good this year. The point is, nature wants to do these things. You leave it alone, it will teach you about diversity. It will teach you about collaboration and cooperation. That's the Creator speaking to us. And that's, I think, the story in the Tower of Babel story. Don't try to do the one thing, do the many things. And I think that polyculture, which is really what we see in nature all the time, not the monoculture, is a gift to us if we learn how to embrace it. If we learn how to say polyculture will be our way forward. And humanity absolutely needs to unify in our efforts to create a just world for all with a sustainable ecology that will be healthy for future generations. We absolutely must. We have to come together, but we need to do it by bringing our multitude of gifts, not trying to find the one solution that will fix it all. It's kind of one of the problems of our big brains. We think we can solve it all, and we think there must be one way to do it, where nature, creation itself, and the Creator teach us that there are multiple paths for a reason. There are multiple ways of seeing and doing. Each of us brings a gift. Each of those marvelous ideas that you have that no one else has is a gift for the whole, but only if you share it. Because that's how polyculture works, right? You offer it so others can benefit from it, and there's a reciprocity. Something comes back when you're gifting like that. When it's a transaction and you want something exact for what you give, that's where it limits the growth. But if you offer freely, every thought, every idea, if you say windmills are great, and so's hydroelectric, and so's solar, we don't have to choose one. Everyone do your part to make a difference. Then we can find solutions that matter. We can have both, and we can have more. We must not allow the perfect to be the enemy of the possible. We can't wait for solutions that we're absolutely sure will work before we try to do what we can. And we also have to understand that there's a cost to be paid. We could work against some of the great technologies that are being produced by pointing to their flaws, because there are flaws. They're not perfect. Yes, some of the materials needed for the green economy are being mined and harvested in unjust ways. And if we allow that to stop us, then we might help end some oppression in one place while we continue to heat up the planet. It's messy business. It requires all of us offering what we can, working together. Some of us working on the technology and others of us working on the justice. Whatever's on your heart you need to do, because that's how it's going to work. But if we wait until we have better plans, it may be too late. And if we wait until we have one perfect plan to build the Tower of Babel 2.0, then we will surely see God's hand in nature, scattering us. Only this time, we may not survive.
Thank you for staying with us. I know the message is hard. It is hard to think about diversity disappearing. So let us each celebrate our individual gifts and offer them one to another. I hope you'll take this unique offering of this video and like it and share it and subscribe to our channel, because all those things help us to spread this message. And if you have some gifts to give, your time, your talent, your treasure, if you can send us some financial assistance for our ministry, please visit our website. We would greatly appreciate any gift you can give, for no gift is too small. And speaking of gifts, that one that you might make with your own hands, for yourself or for someone else, is a flower. Yes, because no two flowers are the same. And of course, we cannot make a flower, but we can make a reasonable facsimile. Or maybe you can, because my version didn't turn out so well. Here's a video with the instructions. But the goal is to make a flower. You see, mine's not very flowery. It's sort of, kind of, okay? You know, I anticipate seeing much better creations from all of you. But here's how you do it. You take the paper that you have and you draw a spiral. If you're really ambitious, don't draw it. Just use the scissors and cut it. That I want to see, because I'm sure some of you have that skill. And the idea is cut along those lines. And then you'll get a long strip, all right, which you can then wrap around the pencil and turn into what I hope looks more like a flower than mine. All right. And so here we all are, flowers growing along the way. Blessings to any who may stop and wonder as they wander in God's great creation. May you find your wanderings this week to be blessed. Celebrate the grand diversity of God's gifts all around you and within you. Celebrate even you, a gift of God.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying. Hear the children crying. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. There is one question I really love to ask. Is there a place for all the hopeless sinners who has hurt all mankind just to save his own? One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. As it was in the beginning, one love shall be in the end. One heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon, so when the man comes, there will be no doom. Have pity on those whose chances grow thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.